At this point, we pretty much all know about the AAF. The AAF is pretty much a developmental league for the NFL, kind of bridging the gap between the seasons, between the Super Bowl and the start of the NFL regular seasons. A ton of players looking for another shot at the NFL, trying to display their talents pretty much in professional football, just not on par with the NFL standards. The 8 teams in the AAF are separated by the West and East divisions, and today we're going to see how those 8 teams would fare if they were in the NFL, according to Madden 19. All 8 AAF rosters put into a franchise, gonna sim a season and see what the heck would happen and how bad essentially these teams would do. Shout out to Benjamin Albright for making this roster. This guy's like a legitimate NFL scout and like draft expert. He's the guy that made this roster, so if you have any complaints with how players are rated, like an actual NFL scout and draft expert rated these rosters and made these rosters. So I don't know how much more accurate you can get. And also, as you see, he did it just to try to raise money for a charity of his choice. So if you want to donate, as you see, there are instructions in his tweet. Now this video is going to be pretty simple. The 8 AAF teams have replaced the NFL teams in the AFC West and in the NFC West. The NFC West is going to represent the West Division in the AAF, and the AFC West is going to represent the East Division from the AAF teams. Now we're going to start off by going over all the rosters, see how all the AAF players are rated in Madden 19 per an NFL scout. Now the only problem is since they're in the same divisions, they're going to kind of get some extra wins against each other, but we'll see how far they actually make it in the season, see how the players do statistically and such, and see what players actually probably deserve to be on an NFL roster, because essentially that's kind of why the AAF was created. Now I want you guys to let me know in the comment section below who your favorite AAF team and what AAF team you think is going to end up winning this first season's championship. I'm not sure what it's called. The AAF Super Bowl? I don't know, but you get what I'm saying. My team is the Birmingham Iron. Actually went to their first game, got hooked up with some free tickets via the Birmingham Iron, so that's dope. They've lost a few games in a row, but hopefully they can pick things back up here soon. Now another problem that could possibly come across in this video is maybe the NFL teams that are being controlled by the CPU cut some of the players and sign some better players. I don't know, that's completely up to them, but this is about as far as we can actually accurately simulate AAF teams in the NFL. So first of all, let's go to the roster, and the first team we're gonna go over is going to be the Broncos, who are, I have a little spreadsheet here. It's the Memphis Express. So the Denver Broncos are your Memphis Express from the East Division, who the Birmingham Iron actually beat in the game that I went to go see. Now, he has a guy rated 80 overall. I'm not really sure how an 80 overall player makes it into the AAF, but that's what an NFL scout has this guy rated at. Their quarterback, Zach Mettenberger, highest overall, 72 rated. Christian Hackenberg was their starter. I'm not sure if he's still their starter, but he's at 63. Their running back, Zach Stacy, up to a 71 overall. Wide receivers, Reese Horn, Fabian, and some other guys. It's a lot of players, but we'll just go over some of like the skill position players, and I'll just show you like their top rated players as well. So you see their roster right here. They have quite a few players over 70 overall. Brad Wing from LSU, he did punt for the Steelers for a while. Now for the Memphis Express, over a 70 overall. They have, I mean, that's not a bad roster. Probably going to be one of the better rosters in today's video. Now moving along, next we have the Arizona Cardinals, who are the Arizona Hotshots, which makes sense. As you see here, Raheem Morris turned into Devin Wade, but he's the highest overall player here at 75 overall. Colleen Burnett is another pretty high overall player, 74 overall. And John Wolford is a 73 overall, their starting quarterback. As you see, some other players that are over 70 overall for the Arizona Hotshots. They have some decent wide receivers as well. Rashad Ross, who is a member of your Dublin Shamrocks, he's a reject. He actually ran backwards for a safety last game, so that's another reason why he's a reject. But they have some talented players as well. Next team, the LA Chargers, is being represented by the Atlanta Legends. They actually look like the worst team up to this point, although they do have Denard Robinson, another reject, on the roster. Their starting quarterback is Peter Pujols or Aaron Murray, whoever the CPU decides to start. I think Aaron Murray starting for him in real life. They've been like one of the worst teams to be fair in the AAF up to this point. Wide receiver core, not looking too hot. Couple decent names. Malachi Jones. This guy was actually super good at Appalachian State, so I'm playing against my university a couple times. Next team to go over, Kansas City Chiefs, are representing the Orlando Apollos, who beat my Iron today. They have 379 overall players, including Will Hill former player. I think they got some of the colleges wrong, but he played at Florida, if I'm not mistaken. Charles Johnson, former Lions, on their team as well. So they look like the best team easily. Garrett Gilbert is their quarterback at a 72 overall. Easily the best roster we've gone over thus far. The backup quarterback, Austin Appleby and Kevin Anderson. Their running back, Akeem Hunt and Ryan Green. Wide receiver core, Charles Johnson, Jalen Marshall. Pretty talented for an AAF team. Another Devin Wade. Next team we're going to go over is going to be the San Francisco 49ers, representing the San Antonio Commanders. And if you guys are OG on the channel, you know exactly who this guy is. Cameron Clear, their highest rated player to 78, tied with their punter Joe Zima. They also have a pretty good roster themselves. A lot of players over 70 overall, which is very good for an AAF player. QB is Logan Woodside. Marquise Williams, formerly of North Carolina. Running back is Troy Williams and Aaron Green. Wide receiver, Greg Ward, DeMarcus Ayers, and Mikael McKay. And according to Madden, this is probably the best collective unit at wide receiver we have seen this far from the AAF team. Now moving on, next we have the Oakland Raiders representing my Birmingham Iron. As you boys see, Wes Saxton, the highest overall player at a 77. I actually didn't know this going into the video, but he's the highest overall player, which is crazy because they cut him before the first game. They signed him after the second game. It's weird, but he's the highest overall player at a 77. They have Luis Perez, the starting quarterback, at a 74 overall. And it's a pretty good roster. Trent Richardson here at a 73 overall. Another reject. Two rejects on this team, Wes Saxton and Trent Richardson. Now moving along, next we have the LA Rams, who are representing the San Diego Fleet. They have an 81 overall kicker, Donnie Hageman. So they have a decent special teams with 79 and 81 overall. That's the highest overall player thus far. And some other good players. Another pretty decent roster. Their starting quarterback for the San Diego Fleet is Philip Nelson. The running back, Jaquan Gardner, and their wide receiver core, Brian Brown, Nelson Spruce, and Dantes Ford. Next team we're going to go over, we're getting pretty close to going over all of them. Next we have the Seahawks, and I'm pretty sure this will be the last one. The Salt Lake City Stallions. They have 280 overall players. Matt Asiato, former running back in the NFL, the Minnesota Vikings, at an 80 overall. Highest overall offensive player in today's video. Also tied with another 80 offensive guard we saw from the first team. They have some pretty good players too on their team. A lot of players over 70, but for the most part, most of these teams seem pretty even. Josh Woodrum is their starting quarterback at a 64. Starting running back is Brandon Oliver. And at wide receiver, they have Adonis Jennings and the Monray Pearson L. What a name. So I'm trying to make sure I didn't make a mistake. I think we went over every team. And with that, we're going to go ahead and simulate to the playoffs and see how these teams did in an NFL regular season. Once again, keep in mind, they're going to automatically make the playoffs because they win their division. They're all in the same division, but that's just how the rosters got made. But anyways, let me know in the comment section below what team you think is going to have the best record in today's video if all the AAF teams were actually in the NFL. First division we're going to look at is the East out of the AAF, which is represented by the AFC West in today's video. And it looks like the Birmingham Iron won the division. They make the playoffs in the NFL at 9-7. The Broncos, who are once again the Memphis Express, came in second. The Chiefs, who are Orlando, went 6-9-1. Actually surprised by that one. Thought they have personally the best roster on today's video. And the Atlanta Legends, which I guess we all probably expected because they're not that good in real life. I mean, how would they be good in the NFL? They went 5-11. Now moving on to the next, the West Division out of the AAF. The Rams win, which is the San Diego Fleet, at 10-6. So according to Madden, the San Diego Fleet would have the best record out of all the AAF teams that they were in the NFL. The Cardinals, who are the Arizona Hotshots, went 8-8. You had the San Antonio Commanders and the Salt Lake City Stallions both coming in at 6-10 on the year. So the Fleet and the Iron both have a chance to make it somewhat far in the NFL. Now we'll look at this because of the two teams that did win the division. I do want to see how many NFL teams they actually ended up beating in the regular season. They beat the Vikings by 3 touchdowns, and they beat the Lions, Bears, and Eagles. So they actually defeated 4 NFL teams, including the reigning Super Bowl champions. And next we have the Birmingham Iron. They ended up beating the Dolphins, they beat the Colts, they beat the Ravens, and that's it. So only 3 real NFL teams. So according to this, Basically, they could only beat up on the other AAF teams. But still, 4 wins and 3 wins against actual NFL teams when you're an AAF team is not bad at all. Now, statistically, just curious, did any AAF player come in the top 10 of the MVP race? And none of them did, which doesn't really surprise me. Now, I do want to see maybe an offensive player of the year. Luis Perez of my Iron came in 7th place. What a man. On defense, looks like we had nobody. But we go in the NFC. Let's see here. Nobody in the offensive player of the year. On defensive player of the year, once again, AJ Tarpley from the San Diego Fleet came in 4th place for the defensive player of the year in the NFC. We have Steve Buharnai of the Arizona Hotshots came in 6th. So we have some AAF players actually showing out and getting close up there for winning NFL accolades. And Trent Richardson led the division with 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. 3.6 yards per carry is actually better than what he's doing in the AAF. We're gonna go ahead, we'll sim to the Super Bowl and see if either the San Diego Fleet or if the Birmingham Iron make it. And no, crazy enough, it's the Browns and the Redskins. Just curious, I just want to go ahead and just simulate this and just see who the heck would win out of this matchup. Wow, the Browns actually win the Super Bowl in this first simulation, which is just insane. And that's the most updated rosters, obviously. Not really, that's a lie, because there's AAF players, so it's not necessarily realistic, but you get what I'm getting at. Now, if we go into schedule, just want to see maybe somehow if an AAF team advanced in the playoffs some way or another. The wild card round looks like... Did they have a first round bye, or am I blind? Did they both have first round byes, divisional round? Okay, they did. That's crazy. So, unfortunately, both teams ended up getting knocked out in their first playoff game. Somehow, they got a first round bye. But the Iron ended up losing to the Cleveland Browns 17-10. So, that's the eventual Super Bowl champions they lost to. And then the Fleet lost to the Redskins 27-31. So, at least both AAF teams that did make it into the playoffs ended up losing to the 2 teams that ended up making it to the Super Bowl and the team that won the Super Bowl. So, I don't know. I thought that was interesting nonetheless. I think that's going to do it. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. If you guys have any other crazy ideas like this, let me know in the comment section below. But I will catch you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day. God bless and peace.